Hello. Today I want to talk to you about the retro gaming community, or retro game collecting, retro gaming, and all that. Why it can be a fairly expensive hobby. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while. A lot of the stuff in this video I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Now, game prices on retro gaming have kind of blown up, so to speak, on certain titles, you know, if it's rare or whatever, but it's mainly because of supply and demand that, you know, more and more people are jumping on this bandwagon, so naturally the prices inflate. But why have so many people gotten into retro gaming in the past number of years? Well, there's a few different reasons. First off, one that most people debate about is YouTube. You know, I'm not going to point any fingers or point anybody on the spot, but, you know, I'll admit, even myself, I got more into retro gaming because of YouTube. 2012 was a very rough year for me. I won't go into details, but, where was I? Towards the end of 2012, I started getting more into YouTube. I didn't have this channel yet, but, see, it was like I was watching YouTube a lot more. You know, like retro gaming channels mostly, and it made me like, I kind of want to play some of those. Fortunately, I still had most of my old consoles, which every once in a blue moon I'd hop one up to play. So then going into 2013, I bought an NES, I bought a Super Nintendo, started buying more games for the systems I already have, you know, and I started playing them a lot more than I was originally. I just got a Dreamcast and a PSP this year. I need to get another PS2, which that's another story. I know I've seen people say like, yeah, YouTube ruined the hobby, but it's like, I feel like people who say that, it's a little bit selfish, because it's like, a lot of those I think tend to be the people that it's like, nope, only I can do this, it's my hobby, nobody else can do it. Actually, ran into somebody like that once. There was this pawn shop my brother and I would go to for retro game hunting. It's not the greatest place in the world, but it's kind of close, so it's convenient. We've gotten some pretty good deals there. They have like this big bookshelf or bookcase, and then like another bookcase. So it's about maybe 300 NES games there for like the more common titles. You know, they have multiple copies of games like Super Mario Bros. / Duck Hunt, Super Mario Bros. And then they have like the more uncommon titles in the case. So, one time I was there, I was looking at the NES games, and this other kid was like, oh yeah, I was just here last week, they raised the prices, these games were this much, the games in the case were that much, which I was kind of just like, which, I knew he was full of shit, because I was going there for months, and the prices never changed, but I knew what he was doing. He was just trying to get me to leave and never come back. He's like, nope, this is my place, only I can come here, this is my hobby, only I can be a retro game collector. That's something I don't get. Like, people that it's like, okay, so let's say, just random numbers, let's say there's 50,000 NESs out on the market. Are you gonna buy every single one of them? Like, you know, if you're the only one that can be a retro game collector, you're gonna buy every single NES, every single Sega Genesis out on the market. And if you're a millionaire, maybe you can afford it, but, so yeah, I actually love the whole YouTube retro game community, because it's like, you can find, you know, whether it's like big YouTubers or small YouTubers of all sizes, you know, they do a review or a let's play of an old game, and it's like, oh, I'd have to check this one out, like, you know, because it's something that kind of slipped past your sonar or whatever. And that's one of the things that I love. Another thing that I like is that it's like, let's say one of your favorite games of all time happens to be a hidden gem, somebody does like a review of it, or people are gonna go, oh, I have to go buy this game or something. Isn't it kind of nice that one of your favorite games that nobody really talks about, now there's more people enjoying it? You know, it's nice to see. So, a couple of other reasons that more people are getting into it is because, well, nostalgia, a number of different nostalgic reasons. See, like a lot of games today, like with the 8th gen, it's like you buy a new game at Walmart or whatever, and you put it, or Best Buy or GameStop, whatever. You put a new game into your console or your PC, and you have to wait for it to install. Or if you buy it digitally, you have to wait for it to download. Whereas, like, back in the day, if you bought a game for Super Nintendo or PS1 or so on, you bring the game home, you put it in, turn the system on, you go through all the logos and everything, and boom, the game starts. You're all ready to play. So I think a lot of people today, when you have to wait for it to install or download, it's like, oh, it just like sucks the fun out of it. Like, I just want to play the damn game. I don't want to wait for, granted it doesn't take long, but I know how impatient people can be. And that's the other thing is that, game companies today, to be honest, it's not so much the developers, it's more the companies overall. Like, everything is so corporate nowadays. Everything is run by CEOs, like, which some of them don't even know what you can have a CEO run a game company, and the CEO isn't even a gamer. Or, like, they've never even picked up a control in their life, yet they're running a game company. How does that make sense? But unfortunately, that's just the way the world is now. Everything is so damn corporate. And I think people miss, like, the good old days when it's like, take Konami, for example. Like, when was the last good game they put out? I mean, to be honest, I never really got into the Metal Gear games. So I can't speak much for that. But other franchises like Castlevania or Contra, when was the last time you saw one of those? Or like Suikoden, there's so many great franchises they just killed off. The cat's in my lap. She was just like, I was comfortable. But it's like, back in the day, like I said, Konami games nowadays, but back then, like, you put a Konami game into your Sega Genesis, or your Super Nintendo, your PS1, and it's like, that Konami logo came up, you knew you were about to play a masterpiece. And today, Konami games are just, like, very meh. See, I think people miss the good old days with, like, Konami. It's like, or games like, companies like Capcom, or maybe EA, I guess, or Ubisoft, who are, like, obsessed with microtransactions, and, like, people are, like, so pissed about microtransactions. I don't necessarily mind them, but, so that's another thing that, like, people just, like, miss, like, the good old times when, you just bought a game, you played it, there was no, what's the word I'm looking for? There's no catch or anything, like, you don't get the full game. So that's why, just a few of the reasons why retro gaming has become so popular. And it's nice to see younger people do it. And that's another reason is some, games today are so much more time consuming. Like, take for example, I have a game, I don't have it on me, and of course the cat's in my lap, so I can't go get it. It's over there, so. There was a game for the N64 called Rocket Robot on Wheels. It was made by Sucker Punch, the same company that did the Sly Cooper games. I still have it. It was actually one of the first N64 games I bought. It's a very interesting little platform. I want to say it's kind of like Mario 64, but not really. The cartridge is red. But anyway, that game, I actually made it to the end years and years ago, back when I was playing N64. And I made it to the end, but I never beat the game. And a couple of years ago, when I decided to, like, I'll fire it up and play it. And it was only like 12. I looked at my save profile. It was only about like 12 hours of gameplay. Like I said, I made it to the end of the game, and it's only like, compare that today. Games today take much more than 12 hours to beat. So I think that's another thing, is that old retro games that are not as time consuming, they don't take as long to beat. I mean, take certain ones that, like, are much more, people who, we're older now, some of us don't have time. And I think another reason is, well, bragging rights. Look at games in, like, the NES library, take games like Metroid or Blaster Master. There was no save points or anything, unless you're playing on an emulator. If you played the original thing, there was no save points or... Yeah, it's trying to trim on the cord. There was no save points. You had to play the game straight through and beat it. I know my brother beat Metroid in one sitting. You had to beat the game in one sitting, no save points or anything. So, yeah. Like I said, great bragging rights. But that's a number of reasons why. Hey, just keep trying to chew on the cord. What was I? Well, anyway. So that being said, the fact that retro game, they're more expensive. Some are more expensive than others, and the thing is, it really all comes down to how much you're willing to spend. Me personally, the most I would ever spend on a retro game is $30. Some people might go higher, like if it's a game that they really want, it's like a game that if they think it's worth more, then whatever. It's everyone has their own perspective, and some people may think games are worth more than others, or whatever. Like I would never spend hundreds of dollars on a game. That's ridiculous, but that's why it's so important to shop around. Don't jump at the first game. There's a game you're looking for, don't jump at the first sight of it. If you can find one, shop around, because you might be able to find it cheaper. I found Turtles in Time for $30 for, it's really good condition. I mentioned it in my Dreamcast video, the game pickups video. There's always other options, like emulation, for example. I know it's not really the same as the real things, but hey, as Homer Simpson said when he traveled through time and his family turned into lizards, close enough. And there's always those plug-and-play systems, which I think that's a big reason why those are so sought after. It's a pretty good deal. So, that's just some of my input on the subject, so thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.